Okay, so I was doing a personality test questionnaire thing earlier today. And for each of the questions, it went from strongly disagree to strongly agree for different statements. And the statement, which led me to a realization, was saying, how much do I agree with the statement, I spend time reflecting on things? From strongly disagree to strongly agree. I said strongly agree. Too many thinks in my thought box a lot of the time. But then I started thinking about that, didn't I? Classic. And I realized that in the past, when people have said, oh, Denver, I think you're overthinking it, I was like, I'm not overthinking it because I haven't solved the problem. If I haven't even solved the problem, how am I overthinking it? Like I viewed it through the lens that overthinking meant that too much effort was being put in, that it was not actually helping solve the problem. And that was it. That was sort of the full scope of things. But what I have come to now realize/theorize is that I think when people say you're overthinking it, what they truly mean is that the amount of thought you are putting into it is destroying you and is unnecessary. Like, it is taking you out of the moment and it is causing you to be less in touch with reality, and by being less in touch with reality, the actual solutions that you're going to come up with are going to be less suited for the problem that you're trying to solve. While I was editing, I wanted to add in something to sort of sum up my thoughts so far, so I wrote this. Overthinking is, at least in part, when you forget to take your emotional or mental capacity into account when you're trying to problem solve. So when you're trying to figure out how to overcome a challenge, if someone is like, hey, I think you're overthinking this, part of what they may be saying there is that you are putting so much of yourself into trying to solve the problem that you are losing touch with how it's making you feel and also with the reality of the problem itself. I think adding that bit in will be helpful for trying to explain things, but if it's still sort of confusing, feel free to leave a comment if you want to, and I can try and like reframe it another way or like explain it with different words. Anyhow, back to past Denver. When I had this realization, I made some notes. Being present, no. When needing or wanting to feel more present, intentionally spend less time reflecting on things. Don't self-interrogate as hard. Just let whatever is be what it is and get along with whatever it is you need to do while trying to avoid any analysis of the current situation or other situations or things on your mind. Note. This is where most of the note starts, by the way. After the word note. Note. Not really tried this before, but was just inspired by the question, I spend time reflecting on things, from agree to disagree. And then I thought, well, if I try to reflect on how often I reflect on things, honestly, it's probably too much. I never really thought about reflecting in the same way as how people describe overthinking before in the past. But I think that's what they've meant the entire time. That overanalysis isn't necessarily the degree or intensity of the analysis, which is what I had thought. But perhaps it's more of a case of the frequency or duration of the analysis. The time spent analyzing or reflecting on things that have happened or that are happening instead of living in the moment itself. So it might not be how deep I'm thinking about it necessarily, or how much energy I'm putting into it. So yeah, it's not it's not necessarily a case of just strictly how much energy and how deep I'm thinking about something. It might also be how often I'm reflecting on or thinking about things and for how long, because that shifts the balance of how long I'm spending in my head versus in the room, in reality, right here and right now. I think a way I could summarize how I'm thinking about it right in this moment is this. It's not overthinking in the thinking about it excessively to the point the energy is wasted and doesn't help solve the problem. It is overthinking in the sense that thinking about this excessively pulls you out of a reality, which will probably not only make you feel relatively miserable, but on top of that, paint your perception of reality, meaning that the conclusions that you draw from whatever you're thinking about are likely to be inaccurate and not rooted in reality, and therefore not even as valuable. What the fuck, Lamau? With letters, it's actually in the note. And then I have a final note after my notes note, and it says, wow, look at how much I just wrote without hesitation or pause, just by intentionally not trying to overthink. In brackets, I think I'd prefer to call it something like over-reflecting, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have a think about that later. Literally, it does actually say that. You can tell I'm addicted to using my brain, but that might not help me. Maybe there are other things to do in life other than just thinking all the time. Pre-amnesia, I've remembered this since. I would have my actions and then I would reflect on what my actions are, but I would also reflect on the method in which I'm reflecting on them. I think that's still valid and interesting, but like I feel like what needs to come into the equation more is my feelings. Because I, as someone that's got dissociative amnesia, a lot of the memories that are gone are the ones that have heavy emotion tied to them. So the more I can actually get within tune with my emotions, the easier it is for memories to come back, but also too, it kind of just shows that broadly speaking, that's something that I need to work on, is getting in touch with how I feel and not just trying to logisticize everything. Deep breaths. It's not that deep. Reflect, but don't spend all your time reflecting. If you're trying to get something boring done that you've done 1,000 times, you don't have to think about if you're doing it right. Do that once you've finished it or gotten to a checkpoint. Don't keep analyzing it while you're working away at it, because you just, I just sort of get lost. I typed out that whole friggin' thing of 7 bajillion words. It's not that long, but it felt like it. I didn't even pause. And also too, it's an interest. It's like brain stuff. But I wasn't questioning myself. Because questioning myself is great. Because it means that I am making sure that I'm aligned with my own values and goals and stuff like that. But I don't have to do it so f***ing often. God, relax. No wonder you're anxious. You're always thinking about if you're doing something right. Just do it. Don't even reflect on it while you're cooking on it, unless it's okay, here we go. If you're doing something that has a defined, delivered, it's not live. It's not fuck it, we'll do it live. It's something where you package it all up and then it goes somewhere. If it's something where you can split up the reviewing process and the writing or creating process, then split it up. Because you'll not go crazy. So, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I hope you're having a lovely morning, afternoon, night, wherever it is that you are. And, yeah. I hope that you found that insightful, or maybe at the very least interesting. Thanks. See ya. Mwah. Bye. So I was doing a... What is this? What am I doing with my... But basically... Really weird to have my webcam on a tripod, by the way. Really strange. Odd feeling. I may be about to repeat some of that, and that depends on how I edit things. People don't need to know that. They don't need to know how the sausage is edited. Logisticize everything. I still don't know if logisticize is actually a word. I just always say it, and I've never... You know what? I'm going to Google it now. Let's see if I'm making shit up. Good enough. Coordinate. Coordinate is an alternative word. I totally lost my train of thought.